Wait, where's Dave Lombardo? Is he here? Dave. That was great, by the way.
Thank you.
How long did you have to study me for that?
I've been studying you for years.
I've also declared war on potholes, so here's the first shot across the bow.
Well, as you know, with Planet Albany, there's always something that makes the planet turn.
And it's this amazing view of D.C., and Eddie Vedder comes out. And he goes, "You have a cigarette?" And I've never smoked in my life, but if I had, I wish that was the moment.
And this strategy takes us from potholes to knotholes.
I would like to say it was a pleasure, Mr. Kim. But I'm on the road.
I'm David Lombardo, and this is Dispatches from Planet Albany, a WCNY podcast about power and politics in New York. And we are joined on the show by Shontell Smith, head of the New York practice for Tusk Strategies, where she is a partner. Shontell, how are you doing as we talk on the final day of April 2025?
You know, I'm on 100. I'm not. I am surviving, not thriving. You know, today's a lobby day, so I'm just here to speak with members and correct some of the incorrect information that has been given by my enemies.
So a couple things. What is 100? I'm not familiar with that.
Black people. It's like 0 to 100.
Okay, I'm familiar with that
Never
context.
heard that Drake song?
No. Drake's a big hole in my musical portfolio.
What do you listen to, like rock and roll?
I listen to what I call hipster dad music.
Like Aerosmith and like...
No, like current hipster dad. So like Dawes, Bahamas.
Like Blink 182?
No, I haven't listened to them since I was in high school.
Who are the peoples that sing like...
Enema of the State.
Heard you had a boyfriend, da 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 da.
It looked like a girlfriend that I saw in February of last year. It's no conversation.
Who is that?
A Russian around. Take your hands off.
Please stop.
I said, baby, please. Is it The Killers?
Yes. And
I saw The Killers in concert last year.
And they said that song is a highly recommended song to play at the weddings.
Oh, definitely.
Really?
Yeah.
White wedding, not black wedding.
What did you play at your wedding? What was a hit?
Well, what wasn't a hit? I mean, for those that had the privilege of attending.
Yeah.
My wedding was a mix of like if you were into Drake, Jay-Z, Beyonce, a little bit of reggae because my husband obviously is Jamaican. Mm-hmm. It was like going to a club anywhere from 2000 to 2020 and you would get the hits, and that was at my wedding. And then we played some songs because like, for example, like the leader loves Earth, Wind, and Fire. So like there were certain songs, like I love this song by the Gap Band, Outstanding. So there were just like, it was like a club with mixes of this oldies. I had DJ True Master, who was like a big deal in Albany. Paid the big bucks for the big deal.
Okay, so we have my 20th high school reunion coming up.
DJ True Master.
Well,
he plays, but he doesn't only do black people. If that's what
I wasn't so concerned about that so much as the budget, which was basically we're going to have an iPod running like somebody's songs from 2003 to 2005 when I graduated. Well, I want to come back to another thing you mentioned, which is this is a lobby day, and this is...
No, for me.
Okay, but I'm saying, so April 30th, we've also got budget bills maybe coming out today. Does it feel like a normal lobby day to you? Does it feel like a traditional session day?
No one talks about this, but this is like one of the side effects of having a late budget, is that the members are so focused on closing down the budget and getting whatever information that they're getting from leadership about what's been negotiated. They really can't, like they can, but they really can't juggle multiple things.
They have limited bandwidth.
I'm not saying that. You're saying that.
I think they have it based on the number of interview cancellations we've had to deal with.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that's like, hey, I have budget, don't want to do interviews. I have budget, don't want to meet with your client. I have budget, can meet after budget about X, Y, and Z. If it's not about the budget right now, I feel that there's this little to no, I just think it's patience, and I get it because they have so many people coming to them about budget issues and things like that. So totally understand why, as you would say, limited bandwidth, because they have 100 they have tons of people pulling at them every day.
Well, despite that argument, though, we saw on Tuesday that the Assembly passed medical aid in dying, legislation that allows terminally ill New Yorkers to end their lives with the help of a doctor. And this is the first time this has come up, so it's not necessarily routine for them to pass this. So clearly they made a calculation that they wanted to spend some time and energy on that. Do you have any sense of why?
No idea. It's just so interesting because the speaker normally leaves like big ticket issues like post budget.
Mm-hmm. Or in the wake of the Senate passing them first.
I wouldn't say that.
I couldn't think of a single issue in the last 5 years that the Assembly has sort of like led on.
You have to remember that historically, before the Senate Democrats even came into power, the Assembly was passing a lot of
That's why I said 5
bills.
years.
I'm just saying they don't need to take the lead because they were holding it down when the Senate was maintained by Republicans.
Sure.
Because I think sometimes we don't give respect to what
Shelley Silver accomplished?
Stop it. What Shelley Silver, but like, which is, but also Speaker Hasty. Like, I know that like sometimes the Senate Dems get like the reputations of being the darlings, but for years the Assembly was holding it down and passing these things and talking about these things when we didn't even have the votes to move it in the Senate because it was a Republican-led Senate. So I just don't want people to forget who Carl Hasty is and what he is to this state. But yeah, usually when I don't know, I'm like when I saw, I was like, who's he pissed at? Like, why is he doing this? That's my first reaction. Like, why did he do it? Or maybe he promised the member that look, first of all, Assemblywoman Paulin, like she passes bills like it's her job. Like I think she's like the number one person in terms of passing bills.
She was who I drafted when we had a vote on
Let's not talk about your draft.
This was the first draft where we had to pick who would we turn to for a bill, and I picked her, and I proudly chest out.
That is, hate her or love her, she will run you down ragged to get you to pass her legislation. Mm-hmm. So maybe he made a promise to her that he would do it post-budget, but because the budget is late, she's like, okay, I'm
here to collect.
Time to pay the piper. Pass my bill. Whatever the reason, the bill passed, which was shocking because obviously I'm ancient. But when I was at the Senate, that was something that came up a lot, but I don't want to speak for the Senate now. I don't know if they have the votes or what's going on. But that was something that was always, there was resistance, especially by members of the caucus.
And we saw that in the Assembly side with the vote, too.
Yeah, so that was always something that was resisted by members of the caucus. I think deeply religious members also took issue with self-assisted
suicide.
And
that's what it is.
So it's shocking that they're doing it now instead of like the last week of May. So I thought either he promised someone or maybe he's mad at someone. So I don't know. But, look, I had a aunt that passed from cancer. And I'm mixed on this bill because I do believe that when my aunt had stage 5 colon cancer. And I remember she had surgery on like she had surgery in December and the doctor was like, she won't live till Valentine's Day. And then she ended up living like 8 months longer than anticipated. So I do believe when people, especially the terminally ill, when they have like certain conditions, they want to be sometimes this released of the treatment, of the pain, of the suffering. But then as a Black woman, I feel that when it comes to healthcare, people of color and people of certain income brackets are not given the full consideration or the full respect by healthcare professionals when they claim they feel pain, when they claim they have issues. So I could see, especially members of the caucus, being resistant because it's like we already have women dying while trying to like give birth because doctors don't believe them. So it's like if a doctor's like, yeah, you're terminal, well, all right, like it's just like something like you don't know if the proper care will be provided equally to everybody. What do you think?
I think that the concerns you're raising definitely played out in the no votes. We saw People Stokes, Rodneyce, Szilagyi, all vote no. Latrice Walker, and I think in addition to being part of the caucus, I think they're also important voices in the assembly. So the fact that they were no's on this really made me scratch my head and
be like, why is the speaker doing this?
Yeah, especially because there's no clear commitment from the Senate to take this up. This could just be a one-house vote in 2025.
Could be member management. Maybe it's member management. Members do things for members. You never know why. I think he probably promised this to Assemblywoman Paulin. Maybe, she's been taking things on the chin and she lost her shit one day and he's like, all right, and this was a way to calm her down. Either way, I do think it's good just to start the public debate on it. So even if it doesn't pass in the Senate, there's a conversation being had about it. And people are going to have to figure out what they're going to do on that.
So there's no good transition out of this topic, so I'll pivot to our underwriters. And today's program is made possible by New York State United Teachers as well as the New York State Association on Independent Living. And which is not supportive of medical aid in dying. And you can hear why on an episode of the Capitol Pressroom in our archives, which is available at capitolpressroom.org or wherever you download podcasts. Turning to the budget, this week kicked off with the governor announcing that we had a framework deal. And just as we've seen in the past, this comes well in advance of all of the I's being dotted and the T's being crossed by days now, because we still haven't seen a budget bill as we talk on Wednesday afternoon. Is this solely a strategy thing from the governor, or is it just about wanting to take that victory lap? And the strategy, I think, has to be closing the conversation down, saying, this is it, we've finished it, tell the Assembly, tell the Senate, tell your members, we had a great time negotiating, but it's over, and conference now is just about, getting over it.
What was her press release that she did today? Was it like, we got it done?
Yeah, basically. I mean, they've been taking a victory lap, saying we got all our priorities.
Done. I understand announcing a conceptual agreement or a framework for an agreement. I think every governor has done that in the history of time. I think the doubling down and doing press before the budget is passed, I don't know. I think it's like, this is a hard budget for members. And it's just like sticking your thumb in their face. And I get that you want to get out there and be like, yeah, I did the budget. But I think it's this, I don't know. I think it's silly.
Do you think it helps close down negotiations? No, you don't think it by saying...
You think the leader and Carl she sent out a press release. Let me just...
I would imagine that the speaker or majority leader would say in conference, feel free to have a drink, would say in conference, look, the governor's done negotiating with us.
Let's be clear.
This is the best deal we have.
No.
Okay.
Because what the governor fails to understand sometimes is that, and this is every governor, because I've seen this with every governor, the leaders are responsible for the members of their house. So you could brief it, and if some people are no, because you've made them eat crap in this budget and they don't want to eat crow, you are still going to try to figure out if you can get something for them or help them with something, or if there's something you can do to make them a yes.
Isn't that all around the margins, though, at this point?
No. I wouldn't count any chickens before they hatch. I think it was the year I was there, maybe my second budget. I remember, there was a budget bill that just barely passed. I think the speaker had to go on the floor and try to change someone's
That's
vote.
always exciting.
Oh, it's so exciting. But, there are times where, you have to do that. So I think going around doing a press tour talking about we got it done, I don't see what you get. And I think it's silly because everyone's maybe they're not publicly saying it within the text threads. You haven't gotten anybody being like, whoa.
It's been reported that some people are annoyed by it, but they're not saying, I'm going to blow up the budget over this.
I don't think it's not about blowing up the budget. It's just respect for the houses and respect for the process. And announcers a conceptual agreement. You can't wait 5 days to go do a tour and say, I got you a $2,000 check. Well, not a $2,000 check, but her rebate check or whatever it is. You can't wait. You can't wait 5 days.
Are you disappointed you're not going to get a rebate check?
I'm on TV. Next question.
Well, what do you see as the legislature getting out of this budget deal? Because obviously the governor's trumpeting what she got, but I don't see what the legislature is going to be campaigning on in the future from this budget, because the only thing that they seem to have wanted was some of the changes to the campaign finance program, the matching dollars that the governor previously vetoed. But besides that, this doesn't really reflect the one house budgets in any way.
Well, you know how I feel about one house budgets.
Kabuki theater.
Kabuki. It's just not real. I don't know what they're going to campaign on. I wouldn't campaign on this.
Yeah.
What?
Well, you could campaign on the child tax credit, but it's not
Really?
what they wanted. It's not as far as they wanted.
They doubled it, but like to the middle class voter that they're trying to get.
Mm-hmm.
Does that change it?
No, I don't think it changes, but I think you will want to remind people that we're the reason you might have gotten a couple extra $100 in your tax refund.
I find that people are either staunch Democrats or staunch Republicans, and then all the people in between, it's just what's the current mood of how they feel what's going on in the state. They don't care about what legislation you pass unless you pass life-changing legislation.
Yeah, none of this is life-changing.
None of this is not life-changing. This is like, I don't know.
Meh.
Do you think it's?
No, and I was trying to think about what is the most impactful thing in this budget, and it's not the middle class tax cut, which is going to be, a tiny fraction of a percentage change that has a trivial amount of impact on your filings.
Maybe the rebate check, but like.
And again, when you talk with the microphone over there, it doesn't really get picked up. So just finish drinking.
I'm sorry. I'm just so parched from all my haters.
Diet soda is probably not the best way to get hydrated. I can get you water.
Why'd you even... Oh, man.
What? Are you not supposed to be drinking soda? Who's keeping track of your
husband.
Your liquid? Does he listen to this?
My husband is a supportive husband. He listens to my podcast. He watches me on TV. He is like, all the young girls out there, don't feel pressure to be in sucky relationships. When you meet your person, you will meet your person, because your person will be your biggest cheerleader. He watches everything.
Do you think it's a bad sign that my ex never listened to my podcast?
I think that's why. I mean, But your current girlfriend does.
She does.
Because she enjoys me.
Yes.
As most people do. But, I think when you have a partner that's not interested in the things you do, I think that's very telling of the relationship.
I do generate a lot of content, though. And I can be a lot to live with, maybe.
No, I think, I don't know. I do this show every 2 weeks. He listens. When I do TV, he listens. He knows about all my drama, from like work drama, campaign drama. He knows everything. And he just is an active listener. Like this morning, he was like, go get your haters. And when session is over, I will tell you how people lie to kill other people's projects and things, and how it's no bueno. And that if you're going to be a lobbyist, just be a lobbyist that lobbies your project because your project is the best or your bill is the best, and give the reasons why your item should be passed. Don't hate on other people. I'm saying.
I want to come back to me. And
about your failed relationship?
No, I want to come back to if your husband has any thoughts on me. Has he ever weighed in on your de facto co-host of Dispatches from Planet Albany?
One time, I think the one time when I started asking you questions, he liked that. Mm-hmm. So that's why now I'm like, what do you think?
I'd like you to ask me questions.
Because he's like, you always telling people what you think. Why does he tell them what he thinks?
Yeah, I think that's the way we should transition the show.
He was very disappointed in the you know what I'm going to say.
The draft?
He was very disappointed. He said, you are the streets, Shanti. I have a shirt that says we are the streets.
Mm-hmm.
I am the streets.
Okay.
But you don't think so. You think all these other lobby firms are. So
I'm trying to think of a good transition from...
You shouldn't transition. You should just go.
The streets. And I'll go to the streets of the New York City area. And we were talking about the idea that nothing from this budget is going to resonate with people. There is...
Maybe the funding for the MTA stuff, because there'll be improvements.
Well, I was going to ask about the other side of that coin, which is the tax to fund the capital needs. In the past, people have lost their minds over any sort of taxes in the New York City area, particularly the suburbs, to fund the MTA. So is there going to be fallout from this tax, which they've tried to basically mitigate any fallout by saying this is for large businesses only, smaller businesses are actually going to get a tax cut. So does that have any sort of implications once it's implemented?
You know, as people think I'm always defending the rich on this podcast.
Your peers, you mean?
I don't know if it's my peers, but people think I'm always defending the rich. Look, I think, you tax. Eventually people get sick. I'm sure businesses don't want to be taxed, but I think they understand there's kind of like a moral, like right now, it's like the MT's in disarray. Congestion pricing is like
Having a difference on congestion.
I don't know.
That's what the studies show.
I've been in the city lately. I don't know.
I drove to 48th Street and it seemed fine.
There was a period when congestion pricing first passed. Me and my husband, because we go down to the city a lot. We were driving in Manhattan and it was so easy to get. Like my husband was like, "This is great." But I have to say that because I've been going down way more now than I used to, I don't think it's made a difference. But I think the money going for the MTA will help with fare evasion and making like capital improvements. So I think that's always a good thing. I just think it was all premature. I think all of this discussion about the budget, I don't have any bills to look at. It's like, as a consultant, like you're briefing your clients, like, hey, budget's done, but like you don't have anything to show them.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. So you say, hey, the budget's done, and you give them like an overview. And then when they have follow-up questions, there's nothing.
Is there any reason to think the process will be different next year?
Process will never be different.
Okay. Why? Why?
And have just now, moving forward, I don't care what it is. Oh, I don't know how to say this. The budget will always be late. Oh. Sorry. They're playing music in Dave's office.
Is that Drake?
No, that was definitely not Drake. I felt like that was Ariana Grande. I think the budget will always be late.
But I just mean the dynamic between the legislature and the governor, with the legislature going, "Oh, we have no power. Oh, I can't do anything. Please give us some crumbs," to quote a Shontell thing from a few years ago. Oh, yes. And the governor is like, "I'm steering the bus and we're going to pull over until I get exactly what I want." And they're like, "Oh, I can't do anything about this."
The dynamic will never change until there is true hatred. I find that when there is true hatred, like visceral, that is when members are like, "Oh yeah, I dare you do the extender."
Or send Hector LaSalle our way, see what you get.
That's you, not me. But like it's when there's true hatred and there's zero Fs. Like when they feel like, I think people feel. From what I hear, I think people are stomaching I think Liz Kruger, I think someone asked her if the budget deal was done, and she was like, "I don't know," and then she's just like, "This was a budget," basically, I think people are increasingly each year getting a little bit more agitated with the budget process. I do think there's going to be a breaking point if the governor and her team are not careful.
Could we see that this fall when we have to come back in the inevitability of federal cuts, and we have to revise the budget, and we have a sort of a Patterson situation?
Because, even when there was a DRP under Patterson, there was an understanding that the state and the economy was just such crap. So there's no fault that's going to be assigned to having
People
to do
were pretty
DRP.
mad at Patterson.
Yeah, they were mad at Patterson, but they were also mad. Patterson, I try not to talk negative about people. He wasn't the best at that time. And I think...
Where would you rank him in the 57 governors we've had?
I don't even know how...
Top 10?
Not at all.
Better than George Clinton or worse than George Clinton?
I would just say that I think that the people that were in power at that time didn't have control over their members. Members were just wilding out back in the day. I think the Speaker and Andrea, because of the way they lead their conferences, have a lot of respect for them, a lot of deference for them. You see how it goes. But This has just been weird. You don't think it's a weird vibe?
To me, this seems kind of normal at this point. This reminds me of the past budgets in many ways.
Well, the past
2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just say what you like.
Seems like the Hochul budgets.
Okay, thank you. Like, don't.
Oh no, I
'cause
wasn't
not
trying to be
everybody had
coy or
budgets.
anything.
Not everybody had late budgets.
No, the Grand Slam budgets.
I'm just saying, not everybody had late budgets. I remember working, and the budget would be like 2 or 3 days late, and you'd be like,
Those timely budgets.
oh my God. Like, you would be like, I would be like, like, oh my. I remember I had a breakdown where I was like, oh my God, the budget. I remember
They're not going to get paid.
Yeah, we were paying on budget bills at midnight, and I was like hyperventilating and crying.
You seem much more well adjusted now.
Yeah, it's just a different type. I think on the outside, it's a different type of stress. It's a disappointment of your clients. And then again, other lobbyists colluding to take you down or trying to take your issues down.
Do you feel like you put a X mark on your back, though, by coming in hot in 2025 saying, you know, you were going to step on necks?
Guess what? I believe if you know that you're good at what you do, are you going to sit there and say you're not good at what you do? I interact with a lot of firms. I know the level of detail. I know what I do for people. I know how I conduct myself. And, you know, I'm not going to sit there and say I'm not good. I'm good.
Maybe the best.
I don't want to say I'm the best.
Whoa. I got a lot of shit for not putting you as the best.
Well, because the people that you put over me, baby, they ain't better than me.
No.
So.
And I am significantly humbled in the wake of that experience.
Like, I just, you know, you should be happy. You're lucky I'm even, like, in your presence right now.
Oh, I feel the love.
Do you?
I do.
Okay, good. All right. Well, this has been fun. I gotta hit the road.
Well, we've been speaking with Shontell Smith. She's head of the New York practice for Tusk Strategies, where she is a partner. Shontell, thanks for visiting us in the studio.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Hold on.
Cough away.
Actually, it was a burp because this Diet Coke. But